What up, what up, what up, y'all? It's your man checking the whole nine, and you're live on a block with your boy. We are here to tell the truth. Nothing but the truth. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, sir. Let me go ahead and get things popping right now on the block. Get my followers up. Let them know I am in the building. I'm on the block. Give me a minute. Yes, sir. It's a damn shame what's going on, man, with the Browns and my man Shedeur. I don't like it one bit. Okay, we back. Listen, I've been watching a lot of broadcasts on the whole Dion Sanders, prime time, Shador, Shallow, Webster, Juju, Caton Salter. You know the whole situation. There's good, there's amazing, there's bad, there's a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, and a lot of sadness in the whole thing. But the reason, my thoughts and my process, how I'm getting through all this is watching different people, getting reports, analyzing everything, what I'm reading and what I'm seeing, and what's in the main media and what's on social media and on all the platforms out there. I watch a lot of different um, media commentators out there that's very good in their reporting, very good, and most of them are dead on. But I've been watching and watching and watching and watching, I just been analyzing, and everything is coming back to the same thought process I've been thinking about the whole entire thing. You know, and I give it to Shador. He is very patient, and his father, Prime, taught him that. He has to be patient. He has to take whatever they dishing out because he's locked into I believe it's a 4-year contract. And the my opinion now, this is all my opinion. Uh, he has a 4-year contract, rookie contract, and he's not getting paid that much money, 4.7 million, something like that. Uh, not very much guaranteed money, um, but he can't not ask for a trade, not his first year. You know, even though we know he's labeled as a fifth round pick, okay, a fifth round pick asking for a trade, and we know he's not a fifth round pick talent. We know he's a first, second, third round talent, first rounder, hands down. Hands down. He's that. He's him. And we all know it. But I see the underlying agenda that the Browns and the NFL has and what they're doing. And everybody, they were on the right path when it was draft time. And when I was even shocked when he dropped to the second round, I knew right then. Matter of fact, no, I knew when they were starting to uh, use some of the chatter about his draft stock dropping. I knew then, I knew right then and there something was going on because there's no way his draft stock should even fall. But I agree to a certain degree about some of the chitter chatter Prime was making about he don't want Travis and Shedeur to go to the Browns. He was looking out as a parent and a coach for both of them. But he was just saying it out loud. He was saying it out loud in public. He could have been saying this stuff between him and his family and whoever's in his circle. But and I agree with most of these social media commentators, out here on these podcasts and blogs and all that. The ones who really know what they're talking about. Okay, there's only a good dozen or so that knows what they are talking about. Very articulate. They can just spat it out there, put it out there, very very nicely. Just like a professional, if they was working for ESPN, Fox Sports, they talk just like those people. Okay, but they got their own platform, their own outlet, and most of them are doing very very good. And matter of fact, I'll name a few of them. G. Bush, man, he's hands down amazing. I mean, he has the inside enroll on all of it because he's sitting down with Mary Kay. He's sitting down with Tony. He's sitting down with the Cleveland Browns radio podcasters. He's going to the games, when they was up in preseason. So he has his hand, right on it, right on it. So when he talks, it's like E.F. Hutton. You just shut up and you just listen. That's G. Bush. And I like my man, Big Snacks. Very articulate. I think he used to be study for as an attorney or somebody in his family, but he knows his laws, what I'm saying, and he knows all about football. I believe he's the coaches his sons, and he was dead on with Colorado when they first started, in the Power Five before they went to the different division. But he was on dead on, spot on with Dion, with LaJonte, all of them. Travis, everybody, Shallow, all of them, and he was hitting it right on the money. So I watch his podcast, in his lives, and John the Liquidator. That man right there is a bad, bad man. John, you a bad man, man. You know your stuff too, man. And he has a way of delivering all the news. And like he said, he is the news dropper. I want somebody to go ahead and forward this live to those main people I just talked to you about. Because John, the Liquidator, he's the one. Big Snacks and G. Bush, they gets it, man. They deliver the news like no other. But here's my thought, okay? It stemmed from, like everybody else has said, I say about 75 to 85% people saying it's because of Dion, prime time. It is. They don't like Dion, don't like prime time, don't like because this is way back when he was in the pros and college. He was showboating, but he can back it up, and he backed it up in all of his films. He's a legend, living legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He's all in the record books. He can back it up. He can still talk junk what he did back in the day, and it's right there. It's written. It's written. So you can't deny none of that. Okay, we agreed that Shedeur is nothing of that caliber of prime, and when he was in his prime, he's a quarterback. Okay, Shedeur is a quarterback. So there's two different athletes right there. Okay, but he has those genes in him. Shedeur has those genes, and he has the attitude like his father. He has his attitude. So, and then he has his mannerisms. All that stuff is there. Okay, but he's still young. But listen, let's get back to the draft. Him and Cam was supposed to be 1 and 2, flip flop 2 and 1. No, we're going past 5. Okay, so now um, I believe Shedeur, like everybody else saying, was the better quarterback because he was under a lot of distress and pressure with the Colorado front line, offensive line. Okay, and then we all seen the talent. If you would have put him in, and we said it many a times, and a lot of y'all said it a lot of times, switch Cam and Shedeur with teams and see what happens. Shedeur would shine like a bright light, shining in Colorado anyway, but he would shine even brighter. And then we believe Cam would have been having some problems. He got used to that line, the offensive line. Look what he's doing and where he's at in the NFL with his team. Okay? Just look. He got no line. Look at his numbers. Look at his numbers and look at his interception rate. All that. You can see. I believe if Shedeur would have been in that situation, he would have did much, much better than Cam with the Tennessee Titans. Much better. But put Shedeur in there with the Browns. And some of them receivers that's dropping passes can't get to the ball because Dylan is not throwing that pass in their chest. He's just not. He's good for those 5, 10, maybe 15 yarders. It's proven. Okay? And he is short. That does, and that will play a factor in him seeing over the line, seeing downfield. We know that. But Shedeur is a little taller, much taller, and he has a wider stance, and he can get out the pocket when he wants to. But let's go back to my theory and what I think was going on with Shedeur. The narrative have changed, okay, in the Browns. Now, this piece right here, if you want to edit it all out, what I said before, go ahead and do that. But send them big dogs this right here. This is the one. This right here, what I'm about to tell you right now, hit your record button from here on out. This is the true reason why Shedeur is not playing. Okay? It all got to do with politics. And it all got to do with that collusion. Okay? So listen, I watched plenty of tapes of Kevin, and when he first was interviewed, he was very, very happy talking about Shedeur and his skill level and escape route to get out the pocket, clean passes, accuracy, you know what I'm saying, how smart he is, how intelligent he is, and he has the genes of his father. He was so excited. I seen the videos. I don't have them loaded up right now, but the next time I go live, I'll probably post them up, okay? And he was kind of excited about Dylan as well. But here's the plot. Here's the twist, okay? It all stemmed from they don't like Prime, okay? And this was a way to get back at Prime. This was the ultimate way to get back at Prime. I agree, hands down, okay? That's one. The second, okay, I heard some chitter chatter about Deion's. He's not going to come in here and take over the NFL. Deion went to Colorado, took over Colorado. But Colorado was in a dire need situation. So he did what he did. So they thinking he do got a lot of juice. He do got power. He do got, all the stuff around him. He has that aura, everything. So then there is coaches in the league that was kind of a little feared if Shedeur is drafted by a certain team, will Deion take over after 2 or 3 years and be the head coach of that team? There are some head coaches that was feared for their job, if they would have drafted Shedeur. That was two. Okay? And the NFL wasn't having Shedeur and Prime coming into the NFL trying to run it like Colorado. No. It's ran by the boys. The boys club. We all know what the boys club is all about. But he wasn't coming in there, going in there to be doing anything crazy, and he wasn't going to do none of that. They wanted to see that. Now, just like Eric Dickerson said, there was collusion to not have Shedeur even drafted. He wasn't supposed to be drafted. I looked and picked this thing apart month, weeks, hours. I broke it all down. Okay? Trump had something to do with that as well. He put a word in for Shedeur to get drafted. Because Eric Dickerson, if you look at his video, he said someone called the Browns and said, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? Boom, 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 boom. So now, the Browns they're in a situation with Deshaun with his crazy, outrageous guaranteed contract. And they got roster problems with their contract and their salary cap, all that. So listen, Shedeur was going to be undrafted for the embarrassment for his father. And they didn't like the way Shedeur, when he was up in the pre-draft, was talking a lot of junk about if you want your team to be changed, don't pick me. That's just trash talking, man, for his image and for his brand. It worked for his brand, but it didn't work towards the owners or the actual head coaches. They were scared of that. That right there kind of reminded them of Prime. And they seen he had too much of that coming in the league with all his fan base. They want to shut the fan base down. They want to control the fan base so it can benefit them and not benefit him. Remember that. Shedeur's fan base he's benefiting from it and not the NFL to a certain degree. Okay? So here's what it is. They wanted to humble him and get that confidence talking up out of him. Okay? It's getting the fans more rowdy. It's getting the fans more powerful under his fan base. So what they did was, I don't know how many owners, how many GMs, how many coaches colluded, but I'm pretty sure enough of them did. And they were all on the same page, because then they started the chit-chatter that said his draft stocks was going down. And no one believed that. No one. We thought there was just a few haters out there didn't know what they was talking about, right? So we ain't paid none of that no attention until the draft happened, and he wasn't taken second, and he wasn't taken third, he wasn't taken fourth, fifth, sixth. When it got down to 10th, and then in the 20s, man, did you start to think about what you was hearing up until the draft? Like, what do they know that we didn't know and we didn't believe them? You see what I'm saying? So now, we knew the Browns needed a quarterback. So when they traded away Travis Hunter for some more picks, everybody was just stunned. But then we knew they was going to pick up Shedeur on the next draft pick. I think they had fifth. They had a second and a fifth, something like that, third or fifth. So when they passed up again on him, we was just like, whoa. So we figured the Steelers, the Raiders, the Giants, when they all passed in the first round, I knew, I don't know about everybody else, I knew this was going to be tragic, tragedy. And then when he went the second day without getting drafted, it just brought a feeling over me. And I know it brought a feeling over everybody else that was watching the draft and that was rooting for Shedeur and all that. I felt when he went to the third day, I said, he's not going to be drafted at all. I see the plan. I see the humiliation. I see everything. I seen they see Prime knew something. See, Prime and Shedeur didn't go to the draft. They wanted to celebrate that, in the comfort of their own home, on the campus of Colorado. And when I seen Prime's face, he was devastated. Shedeur was holding steady because they talk, away from the cameras, say this is God's plan. This is what's going to happen. But these are what the people and the powers of the NFL is doing to you because of me. So he understood that. Shedeur and Shiloh understood the whole thing, what was going to happen. But they didn't know it was going to happen like that. They figured one or two, drops. But then I thought he was not going to be drafted. And you know what happened? Just like Big Snack said, the Browns broke rank. The Cleveland Browns broke rank. Why? Because they had a plan. Jimmy Haslam had a plan up his sleeve. He was getting that new stadium. And what they wanted to do, the plan was to draft Dylan Gabriel. This was the plan. I'm telling you. Listen closely. Draft Dylan Gabriel because he wasn't on nobody's draft board at all. And you looked at all his paperwork versus Shedeur's. Come on now. Okay? Now, what this was is an ultimate smack in the face. Okay? Dion is Shedeur's father. Prime is the head coach throughout his whole career. They said we can use that. And some were mad because they feel that he didn't have to compete for a spot because his dad liked the way he played and he was going to give him the spot anyway because that's his son. But Shedeur got really good skills. Everything. We know that. It wasn't playing favoritism or nothing like that. He has all what he needs to be a great quarterback in college and in the NFL. But here's what's the plan. They looked at Dylan Gabriel's numbers and they said, if we draft this guy, he's a pawn, man. He's just collateral damage. Trust me when I say he's collateral damage. You got to believe he's collateral damage because you see it now. He's being used to humiliate Shedeur. He was drafted ahead, and they put in Shedeur as a 5th-round pick, and we know he's not a 5th-round talent. He's a pick. But check this out, though. With that big, huge contract the Browns got over their head with Deshaun, they got Shedeur for $4.7 million for 4 years. They got an elite quarterback with precise pinpoint accuracy and great athleticism. He has it all. Yes, he has to learn some things on the NFL level because he's a rookie. This is different from college, but he has all of it to learn, to get better, and be an elite NFL quarterback. Okay, here's the thing. Put Dylan in front of Shedeur for a smack in the face to him in prime. They broke rank, got him at a discount rate in the fifth round. Okay, now they're going to go ahead and humble him. Yes, they are trying to. Okay, now the narrative was out there that they was blackballing him. It was collusion and all that. That's what it was, and it still is. But the Browns changed the narrative. The Browns is smart. If put yourself in this in their shoes. Just say put yourself in their shoes. How would you play this? How will you play this if you was playing that game that they're playing? You can't tell the truth. You can't say he's not a true fifth rounder because you're trying to downplay how much you paid for him. You took away 40 million away from that young man. 40, what Cam is getting right now. They messed him up financially only on the NFL side for his coming into the draft and getting drafted. He has money from his NIL deals in Colorado, Jackson State, and all that. He has, money. He's not broke, but he could have been 40 million richer, just like Travis Hunter and big top from 1 to 10. Okay, but they took that away from him. That's another point. So they have to treat him like a fifth round pick. And the way Kevin is acting right now, they don't want to say his name. They want to put him in a place of a fifth rounder. You don't talk about fifth round picks. He's purposely not mentioning Shedeur's name at all. In their coming out their mouth, they're treating him as a fifth round pick, and they pushing everybody's buttons. And when they're pushing the buttons like this, everybody's talking about what they're doing to Shedeur. So they took away the narrative of collusion. They took away the collusion narrative that everybody was dead on, spot on. Everybody's talking about how Kevin Stefanski is dogging and playing and humiliating Shedeur Sanders. Nobody's talking about no more collusion. Why did they draft him? To have him sit there and torture him? Yes, they're getting jersey sales out of him, and they're going to put people in the seats. They gotta keep playing Dylan Gabriel to keep the narrative where it's at. Everybody's pissed because that's the focus on everybody this week, how bad Dylan is playing. And Shedeur is in practice not getting first team reps. They're purposely not giving him first team reps because that's going to be the narrative they want to put out there. Everybody's talking about why they're not giving him first team reps. Everybody's talking about Kevin Stefanski will not say his name. Everybody's talking about here and there, Kevin might be racist. Can't be. He's not racist. Listen, he got other black people on the team, playing, running backs and Deshaun was there and receivers and linemen and no, that ain't it. That's not it. If you notice, he will say everybody else's name that's on the team when they ask about every player, but he will not mention Shedeur's name because that's on purpose to keep people talking about him not mentioning his name. If he mentions his name, then that will take that narrative away, and y'all might end up going back to the collusion. So they are. He is probably frustrated because he do want to play Shedeur, but he can't. He's not allowed to play him. He's not allowed to play him. Not this year. They're probably gonna give him a chance at the end of the year because we know if you put him on that field with first team, Dylan is not getting back in there. What's gonna happen is he's gonna play so good, and everybody is going to say, "We told you so." Dylan's gonna be a thing in the past, right? But what's gonna pop back up? How cheap they got him for. Look at the elite throws, tight windows, everything, and they got wins. They're going to talk about what the Browns got him for. And then somebody's going to come right back around and talk about collusion. They got to keep this up. They got to keep the narrative on Dylan. They handpicked him on purpose to put somebody that wasn't good in front of Shedeur so that can be the narrative. It'd been too much if they would have made him an undrafted free agent. That would have been it'd been too much. Then anybody can grab him. The Browns knew they was in a bad situation. It was first come, first serve, whoever would have picked him up after the draft. So the Browns picked him in the fifth, and other people was pissed that they broke rank because they was all supposed to have a fair shot to get him when he wasn't drafted. And then the Browns wouldn't have been the team that would have won that. It would have been, he probably would have went to Tom Brady because everybody would have shifted and start grabbing at him, coming at him when he didn't get drafted because they wasn't going to pay much for him. But they know they all colluded. But the Browns said, we're not going to be able to get him when he's at the end and everybody got a fair chance to get him. So the Browns did what they did and they screwed everybody else. But then they still had to follow some of the groundwork that everybody agreed to. You got to bury him on the depth chart. You got to treat him this way. You can't say his name. You can't do whatever and let the people create the narrative. So Kevin is not saying his name on purpose because it's pissing everybody off. And y'all know it, and I know it, and everybody's watching this. They see it every time. They ask a question about Shedeur, he mentions teammates, young players, whatever. Now it pisses everybody off, and it gets more views. It keeps the narrative right where it's at. Kevin don't like him. Kevin don't like him. Listen, that's bullshit. Kevin do like him. Kevin knows he is elite. Mary Kay knows that he's elite. And Rizzo, everybody, Tony, everybody knows he's elite. G. Bush, me, everybody. So listen, when it comes to the beat reporters that have access to the Browns, they cannot talk like us. They cannot talk like G. Bush. They can't talk like Big Snacks and John, the liquidator. They can't talk like y'all. They have to keep their past. If they come off and ask some questions like y'all saying on live, they will be booted up out of there. They got to follow some of the stuff they want them to follow. They just can't be reckless. So give them a pass. Give them a pass because they got to keep what the Browns is giving them. They got to talk like that's what they got from Kevin and the rest of them. They got to talk what they got from them and add just a little bit of spice to it. But say what they want them to say. That's why they got the access. But then there's some people now they cannot defend Dylan no more. So they got to come off of it just a little bit. That's why Mary Kay is coming off of it just a little bit, and Tony off a little bit. They can't defend it. But if the Browns is having a press conference and are saying certain things, they got to follow up and report what they was hearing and what they was receiving in the press conference. So give them a pass. They cannot be like G. Bush. They cannot be outspoken and talk how they really want to talk. They can't. But we can. We can't get booted out because we don't have access. So if somebody was talking like Big Snacks in there, Snacks would be out of there. John, you be up out of there. G. Bush, you wouldn't be in there. So they have to follow the protocol. And they are. And they're coming off of it just a little bit to let everybody know, us, that we are talking the truth and we're dead on. But we're slightly off the narrative from the collusion. They cannot play Shedeur Sanders at this time. We want him to go in after 3 games. No, give Dylan ample enough time. Let the Browns lose. When it comes down to it, yes, they might put second, third stream in there with Shedeur. They got to keep the narrative going. We know he's not garbage. We know he's practicing. We know he's working hard. We know this. He's a natural. So the narrative is they're covering up the collusion and they're covering up how much they got him for. And then they took $40 million from him. And they can't be bragging about him. Yes, they would have put him in by now, but they can't. Then their collusion will be coming unraveling. If they put him in there 4 games after Dylan was screwing up, we all gonna say we told you so, and right quick the narrative's gonna change. So look what you did to him, 5th round. He's way better than Dylan. He's winning games, everything, and you took $40 million. Now there's a lawsuit out there by someone that created a lawsuit, but then this will be in the forefront. They don't want it to be. They want it to last a little longer than 1 year. Keep him under wraps. So he might get 3 games at the end of the year with a sorry offensive line than more than what it is right now. Just remember what I'm telling you right now. Collusion is being covered up and everybody's off track. We need to switch back to collusion. And they took $40 million out of that man's pocket from that being a top pick. We know he's talented way more than Dylan. Quit talking about that. They want you to keep comparing him. He's going to keep messing up. They know it. This is perfect for them. This is perfect. Kevin is unhappy. He's not even happy on that stand. He's not. He's losing. He's being talked about, and he cannot talk about Shedeur Sanders. And I'm hearing they got a PR person that's right there with Shedeur, so he cannot talk to any media, nobody. They want him to be silent in the locker room. Nothing. A 5th round pick shouldn't have this much clout, this much pull, this much publicity. It's too much. So they got to keep it right where it's at and no collusion being talked about. This your man, checking the whole 9. We live on the block, baby. Follow your man. I want you to share this video to somebody that have a bigger voice than I do. Collusion is where it's at. Remember that. It's not about Dylan and his talent. It's not about Dylan is not better than Shedeur. Shedeur is better than Dylan. We know Shedeur is better than Dylan. We know that. We been knew that. The paperwork says it, and it's play on field is saying it. It's shown everybody. But then y'all keep yelling and screaming about Kevin's not saying his name. Put Shedeur in. Put Shedeur. He's the more and more y'all keep saying this, they're gonna keep what they're doing. We are on the wrong track. Yes, it's gonna get to a point where the fans need to boycott the actual Browns game to shut this collusion down. That's the only way it will shut the whole collusion down is when they lose tens of millions of dollars. And some of this money right here is going towards that stadium. $600 million is a lot of money. I think 300 something million, something like that. The city then coughed up or whatever, but then that's coming out of Jimmy Haslam, the rest of it. So these games mean something. If there's no money being generated in this, the power is with the fans. Nobody's in them seats. They're going to make change. They're going to make some change. Yes, sir. Remember that. When the fans of Cleveland Browns are not in those seats, that's why the seats went down. What the dollar amount went down to what, $9? Then I'm hearing it dropped down to $6. It's $6 a seat for Baltimore and Cleveland. They hurting, man. $6. Man, that's desperate. They don't want to be embarrassed and they have nobody in the seats. So that's their ploy in their way of putting people in the seats for $6 and $8, so don't look empty. Because the narrative, that'd be a whole different narrative. And then plus on top of that, they're losing money. So I'm telling you, it's gonna come when the fans is gonna say we had enough, but it's gonna take somebody that got some weight to pull the trigger and say boycott. I'm for it. I'm for it if they put him in there, 4 games left or 3 games left, and they put him in there with third streamers, boycott. Show the power of the people what we got. If they put him in there with first streams, that's the only way you're going to get a full, accurate look of what he can do on the field. But if they put him in there with some bullshit, with some thirds, I'm telling you, boycott that bullshit, and then say enough's enough. I would say not right now, because you can say they're doing somewhat okay by letting Dylan go 5 and 6 and 7 games, and then that's it. I wouldn't have canned them after 3 games. Even though we wanted to, I wouldn't have canned them after three games. I wouldn't have did it at 5. Give him the most reps. Give him the most everything. Because Shedeur, he's on the practice squad getting his work in. He was getting more work on the practice squad. He's sitting around right now just warming up. That's all warm-up stuff. Practice squad, he's playing games against the first defense. Yeah. So my thing is, give Dylan as much as the games they want to give him. That just shows us more. You gave him more reps. You gave him more live games, real games, and look at him now. You can't say no more. Quit talking about throwing Shedeur in there. Let the man play and fuck up. Just encourage it. Let him play. 1 more game under his belt that he didn't perform. 2 games under his belt he didn't perform. 6 games under his belt. 9 games under his belt. Okay, now we at the end of the season. Shedeur's getting 3 games. Let's see what happens. And then push the button about boycotting. All right? Just remember, folks, collusion is buried. We need some shovels to dig that collusion, that word back up, and bring it to life. Kevin is really upset that he cannot play Shedeur. Trust me on that one. They cannot pull Shedeur out. They didn't even want to trade him. If he was that bad, they would have traded him. They traded Kenny Pickett before Shedeur. They traded Joe Flacco, but they kept Shedeur. Why? Two things. They want to humiliate him, or they know he's that first round talent. But they can't play him because the collusion's going to come up. Why did you take him in the fifth? Why did you take Dylan? They needed Dylan to be the pawn, to cause confusion, to cause change the narrative. They had to go ahead and tell Kevin, don't speak his name. Treat him as a fifth round pick. But we know we have gold. And we need some type of insurance for that new stadium. But they can't keep it up for long. All right, y'all. That's your boy, Chuck the Whole Nine. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Share this to the big dogs. Let them know. Get the word out. We need to jump back on collusion. Quit comparing Dylan and Shedeur. They don't have no type of their levels is different, man. Shedeur, Dylan, there's nothing about that.